Today, we are so excited to have Jim Kwik, and yes, that is his real name. Jim is here, and he is the widely recognized world expert in memory improvement, brain optimization, and accelerated learning. After a childhood brain injury left him learning challenged, Kwik created strategies to dramatically enhance his mental performance. He has since dedicated his life to helping others unleash their true genius and brain power. He is the host of top education training podcast, Kwik Brain, and an instant New York Times bestseller author of Limitless. Upgrade your brain, learn anything faster, and unlock your exceptional life. His mission? No brain left behind. So to get your copy and bonus gifts, go to limitlessbook.com. Jim, we are so excited that you are here. Welcome to this interview. Tell the folks a little bit about yourself, who you are, what you do on Kajabi, and what you're doing now.
Yeah, absolutely, Allie. Thank you, everybody who's joining us for this conversation. We're going to talk about upgrading your brain so you can learn anything faster. I think it's the number one skill for entrepreneurs to acquire in today's disruptive, fast, rapid-paced age of technology and information, where knowledge is not only power, knowledge is profit. And the faster you could learn, the faster you could earn. And that's what we're going to be talking about today. So I'm really excited because I've been using Kajabi. I was one of your very first actual authors on the platform. And so, our team is extremely excited and proud to be associated with you. We have their 21 30-day speed reading program, memory enhancement program. We have a program called Quick Focus for people who need to keep their concentration in a world full of rings and pings and dings, and a quick thinking program, and a student success program also as well. But we really help entrepreneurs to level up their learning so they can level up their life. I believe now where, it's not, nobody who's watching this is paid for their muscle strength and muscle. It's their mind. It's not your brute strength, it's your brain strength. And the ability to learn faster is the ultimate competitive advantage. Even if you read books like Lean Startup with Eric Ries, he talks about that's literally the competitive advantage, to outlearn your competition. Jack Welch talks about it also, the ability to outlearn and out-apply everybody else really is our sustainable edge. And so, yeah, let's dive into this. When people see me live on stages, which is not a lot happening right now, but I speak in front of about 250,000 people live every single year. I do these demonstrations where I'll have maybe 50 or 100 people in the audience stand up and introduce themselves to everybody else, and I'll memorize all their names in real time. Or an audience will give me 100 words or 100 random numbers, and I'll recall them forwards and backwards. But I always tell people I don't do this to impress you. I do this to express to you what's truly possible, because the truth is every single person watching could do that and so much more. We just weren't taught. If anything, we were taught a lie. And I define a lie in my book. A lie is a limited idea entertained. It's not necessarily the truth, but it's an idea we give merit, we give energy, like intelligence is fixed, or that genius is born, when we know really genius is built. And so I wrote this book as an owner's manual for the most important technology, the technology we don't upgrade as much as, think about how many times you upgrade your phone or you upgrade apps. But what about this technology between our ears? How often do we upgrade our mind? And so we know that our mind really is limitless, that it's not, the sky's not the limit, our minds are the limit. And the limitless resource we have on planet Earth is our mind. There's no limit to our creativity. There's no limit to what we can learn. There's no limit to our imagination. There's no limit to our ability to solve problems. That's what entrepreneurs are, right? They're professional problem solvers. And how can you solve that problem and affect things on scale? Well, really, our mind really is our greatest wealth building asset. And again, school, though, didn't necessarily teach us what to learn. It taught us what to learn, but not how to learn. It taught us what to focus on, but not how to focus. It taught us what to think, but not how to think. It taught us what to remember, but not how to remember. I believe two of the most costly words in business are "I forgot." Can anyone relate to this? I forgot to do it. I forgot to bring it. I forgot what I was going to say. I forgot that conversation. I forgot that speech. I forgot that meeting. I forgot that person's name. Every time we say these words, we lose respect, we lose trust, we lose an opportunity, we could lose time. And so I'm all about showing people how to access and leverage the most important thing for yourself and also your team, which is your collective intelligence. The faster, I believe that if knowledge is power, learning is our superpower, and it's a superpower we all have, regardless of our age, our background, our career, education level, our financial situation, our gender, our history, our IQ. That doesn't matter. What matters is our commitment. In the book, I actually have a quote from a French philosopher that says this. You'll love this, Allie. It says, life is the C between B and D. Life is C between B and D. B stands for birth, D stands for death, C, choice. Choice. Like these difficult times, they can define us. These difficult times can diminish us, or these difficult times can develop us. We decide. And so in the book, I give people countless choices that they can make to have their best brain and their brightest future.
Wow, there's so much to unpack there. I feel like so many of our Kajabi users and just the entrepreneur community in general can benefit so much from everything you just talked about. I know that, you know, I look up to you because you've worked up with some of the most creative geniuses in the entertainment industry, like Will Smith and Steven Spielberg, Elton John, Oprah, like all of these people, you've touched their lives. And I would love to know for our audience, in your book, Limitless, like, are there things that you talk about there that you've worked with some of these people on? And if so, how can our community start implementing little things towards a better brain power, as you say?
And that's the key, little things. A lot of people, they overthink it. Like, I think thinking is good, but overthinking and wanting to be perfect can cease any kind of progress. I believe little by little, a little becomes a whole lot. And so when people see me with photos with Elon or Oprah or Bill Gates, we actually bonded over books. I discovered early on that leaders are readers, and leaders are readers, that if somebody has decades of experience and they put it into a book, and you could read that book in a handful of days, you could download decades into days. And that's a huge competitive advantage, because what would you read? I mean, one of my very first students, this was over 28 years ago, almost 3 decades ago, she read 30 books in 30 days. Can you imagine that? She was a freshman. And I wanted to find out not how she did it. I teach people how to read faster in my Kajabi courses and in this book. I want to know why. What was her motivation? And in the book, we have a whole section on how to have limitless motivation. I can share the formula in this session on how to overcome procrastination and do these amazing things for yourself. But I found out her motivation was her mother was dying of terminal cancer. And doctors gave her mother only 2 months to live, 60 days. And the books she was reading were books that saved her mom's life. And I find out 6 months later, she calls me up, she's crying and crying and crying. And I find out they're tears of joy that her mother not only survived, but is really getting better. Doctors don't know how, they don't know why, they called it a miracle, but her mother attributed 100% to the great advice she got from her daughter, who learned it from all these books. And that's, again, where I learned that if knowledge is power, learning is our superpower. And as you know, for those of you who have programs on Kajabi, that's our why, right? You learn so you could earn, so you could return, right? You take that knowledge and you share it with other people so you can make their lives better. And I think that's the ultimate level of fulfillment when we're serving other people. And I know this is possible because I grew up with severe learning challenges. I had a brain injury, as you mentioned, when I was a child, 5 years old. I couldn't focus, I couldn't remember, I couldn't process information. It took me an extra 3 years to learn how to read. It took me, like when I was 9 years old, I remember, Allie, I was holding back the whole class because I didn't understand the lesson. And I was being teased by students and bullied. And the teacher came to my defense and said, "That's the boy with the broken brain." Like giving me an excuse. Label became my limit, and it put me in that box, because we're not born with that self-talk. It came through our environment, through experience, through external things. And so really what this book really is all about, even whether the person is a famous actor like a Will Smith or a Jim Carrey or the cast of the X-Men, or they're high achievers. We do these programs at Nike, at Google, at Facebook, you know, all these institutions, because again, the greatest wealth building asset you have as an individual or as a founder is the collective intelligence of our team, our ability to learn, our ability to act, our ability to solve problems, our ability to focus and concentrate and be at our best. And that's really what it's all about. But I have stories in there. Some of this is a little sensitive when I work with privates doing one-on-ones, but I have stories in there about Will Smith and Jim Carrey. And I help a lot of actors speed read scripts to memorize their lines in a fraction of the time, to maintain their focus when they need to perform. I train a lot of TED speakers how to memorize their TED Talks, in the 18-minute talk in a small amount of time, and be able to deliver it with confidence without teleprompters and slides and all that good stuff. But that's really my goal here. So whether somebody is famous or not, I've worked with children with have severe learning challenges to aging adults. I lost my grandmother to Alzheimer's. She was my primary caregiver, and just to watch her deteriorate over time was a big challenge. So because I had learning challenges and I had that experience with my grandmother, we donate 100% of the proceeds of this book. 100% of it goes to build schools, fully fund schools, textbooks and teachers, healthcare and clean water for children who do not have access to it, and also Alzheimer's research, because over time, there's this rise of brain aging challenges, and we need to discover why that's happening to people. And so I'm very passionate about that also as well.
Yeah. Wow. I mean, that's just absolutely incredible that you're donating these funds. Not only are you giving back to the community by doing that, but what you're teaching is going to transform lives and businesses and the way that entrepreneurs think, right? It's incredible. You talked a little bit about your story and about your childhood and about some of the things maybe internally that you struggled with. I know that we say here at Kajabi, like, everyone has their own inner critic, and you've heard the phrase like you're your own worst enemy or your harshest critic. What advice would you give to an online entrepreneur who's maybe just starting out and getting stuck in their own head with their own limitations, and getting out of their own way? How do you coach that person?
Yeah, I definitely want to go into the Limitless Model, which is the framework for learning anything faster. But not only that, but for unlocking human potential. But my quick advice to somebody who's just getting started is, don't compare yourself to anyone but your best self. It's not about being perfect. It's about progress. It's about the consistent effort you bring every single day that leads to small incremental improvements. Little by little, a little becomes a lot. And that's how winning is done and where transformation happens. So as I mentioned, thinking is good, but overthinking and wanting to be perfect. Limitless is not about being perfect. Limitless is about advancing and progressing beyond what you believe is possible. And so what I would say is, don't overcomplicate it. Really simplify it and make it elegant. You mentioned my podcast. It's the #1 education training show on iTunes. Over 3,000 5-star reviews, tens of millions of downloads. Every episode is only 15 minutes long, no advertising at all. And what we do is we put it out there to the world. How to remember names, how to learn another language if you do international business, how to change your habits, what are the best brain foods, how to optimize your sleep, all those important subjects. And doing this, I did an episode, you appreciate this, on working smart versus working hard. And it was for entrepreneurs. And I shot this in an actual power plant. And the story that I share very briefly is this. One day in a very active power plant, everything shuts down. I mean, complete silence out of nowhere. And the employees are running around trying to fix it, and they can't do it. Over an hour passes, 2 hour passes, and the operations manager, doesn't know what to do, picks up the phone, calls a local technician, says, "You're lucky, I'm right around the corner." Technician shows up, and he walks around the floor for about 5 minutes. And on the floor are all of these beams, and on all these beams are all these electrical boxes. He goes to one specific beam. And on this beam, he goes to one specific electrical box. He takes out a black marker, puts a big X on it. He opens it up, and inside, as you imagine, there are all these wires, all these screws. He goes to one specific screw, turns it not even halfway, and then what do you think happens? Bam, the entire power plant turns back on. The manager is like, "Thank you so much, you saved the day." He was like, "How much do I owe you?" And the technician looks at him with a straight face and says, "That will be $10,000. And he was like, "Wait, what? You were here for 5 minutes. All you did was turn one screw. How do you justify that?" He's like, "Give me an itemized bill." He's like, "No problem." He reaches into his back pocket, takes out a notebook, scribbles on a piece of paper, rips it off, hands it to him. The manager looks at it and is like, "I understand." He goes to his desk, takes out a checkbook, writes him a check for $10,000, hands it to the technician. You look at the invoice, it says this: turning screw, $1. Knowing what screw to turn $9,999. And
I
the
love
message
that.
entrepreneurs who are listening is not that you have a screw loose. That's not the message. The message is two things. Number one, again, we live in a knowledge economy. Knowledge is not only power, it's profit, right? It's those who, it's not even this wealth, it's those who know and those who don't know. And so by providing information on Kajabi as this platform, it allows you to help people to close that gap and learn new things, to whatever you teach them, negotiation, health and wellness, right? In my case, speed reading and focus and memory improvement. And so number one, knowledge is not only power, it's profit, because you profit a lot by having specialized knowledge. But the second reason I bring that up, it's one screw and it turned everything else on. And that's called a focal point. And I am obsessed with finding those tiny little screws that turn everything on when it comes to our brain, that comes to our memory, when it comes to our concentration, our ability to read faster, our ability to remember things better. And I'm obsessed with finding those. Some people call it that lead domino. You hit that lead domino and it knocks all the other dominoes down. And in the military, they call it a force multiplier. Force multiplier, same amount of input, but you get massive output, massive rewards. And that's what I'm committed to giving people, are those small little techniques that gives them the most rewards.
Yeah, that's so great. I want everyone who's listening to just pause for a moment and soak up what Jim just said. It's not about being perfect. I love that you said that. And especially as you're focusing on brain power, as you've said many times, like it's so important to not get caught in that emotional roller coaster of like, I'm not good enough, I can't do this. It's about switching on and just taking those little steps forward, and knowing it's not going to be perfect along the way, but that you're making steps.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And so that's really what this conversation is about. You know, we were talking before we started recording, how do you become limitless in a limited world, right? The book is called Limitless. How do you, and a lot of people have seen the movie with Bradley Cooper and Robert De Niro, where he goes from zero to hero by taking a pill. And all of a sudden he has incredible focus. He has this eidetic memory. He's able to learn languages and write his book and create content, because I know a lot of content creators are here also. So we show people a process for that. And in the book, in the forward of the book, it's written by Dr. Mark Hyman, who's written 13 New York Times bestselling books. And in it, he says this quote in the forward, says, "There is no genius pill, but Jim gives you the process for having your best brain and your brightest future." So there's always a method behind what looks like magic. And that's really what I want to show people.
Yeah, you talked a little bit about the limitless model. Do you mind going a little bit deeper into that so people can kind of get a taste of what that looks like in the book?
Let's just jump into it. So this is the framework for really learning any subject or skill better. And it's a framework for doing the impossible. So I want everyone to take notes on this. This is like the strategy on how to do the impossible. So take notes. And I want everyone to draw 3 circles on a notepad. And when I say 3 circles, very specifically, I want you to draw a Venn diagram. So a Venn diagram, and I'll grab the pad myself. Now, in general, by the way, one of the best note-taking techniques, because we talk about, school teaches you to, tells you to take notes, but they don't necessarily show you how to do these things, how to focus, how to think, how to solve problems, how to read faster, how to remember. I always thought it should have been the 4th R in school: reading, writing, arithmetic. Obviously, spelling wasn't one of them, but remembering, right? Retention, recall. Memory actually makes you money. When you can remember your sales presentations, to do videos, or your content, and be able to have that information on hand, it's huge. I can't tell you how many people over the past 3 decades of teaching this have said, "Jim, I've lost the deal because I called someone by the wrong name." And people don't know until they know how much you care. So we definitely want to cover that also. But one of the best ways of taking notes is drawing a line right down the page. And on the left side, what I want you to do is capture. On the right side, create. Now, this is an incredible way of note-taking, because what people don't realize, even when you're developing programs for Kajabi or any kind of courses or programming, here's the thing. There's a learning curve, but there's also a forgetting curve. So, our programs that we have on Kajabi, even the book, is not just teaching people accelerated learning. It's teaching them how to teach other people in a way where they'll retain it and they'll use it also as well. Because I don't believe knowledge is power. in the section on mindset, I talk about the 7 lies to learning and success. And one of them is this thing that we've all heard, knowledge is power, right? Even I say it sometimes. But the truth is, all the online programs, podcasts, books, none of it works unless you work. None of it works unless you work. So I'm encouraging those for those of you who have a subscription and are using it, but you're not doing something with it, all the books, a lot of people are really good at buying a book and it sits on your shelf and it becomes shelf help, not self-help, right? So if you want to encourage people to learn the programs better, then watch our courses on Kajabi. But on the left side, what you're doing is capturing. So you're note-taking. On the right side, you're creating, you're note-making. Because there's a learning curve, but there's also a forgetting curve. Did you know, Allie, and everyone who's watching this, that within 48 hours of learning something, do you know how much is forgotten on average? 80%. 80%. You learn something once, an online program, in a book, in a podcast, within 2 days, 80% of it is gone. We've all had the experience, right? Where we learn something and the next day we forget what we just learned. And so one of the best ways of capturing it is by using notes. And what I'm saying, on the left side, you take notes. On the right side, you make notes. What does that mean? On the left side, you're writing how to read faster, how to teach an accelerated learning method, how to remember people's names. You're taking notes. But on the right side, you're making notes. And you could write things like what questions you have about this. If your mind wanders, let it wander on the right side of the page. How am I going to use it? When am I going to use it? How does this relate to what I already know? And you make those notes. Now, while you're writing this out, what I'm going to encourage everybody to do is when you're drawing the 3 circles, I want you to make the circles look like this. Make it look like, and handwriting, by the way, has been shown to actually help you to retain and comprehend better than digital note-taking. It's interesting. I like digital note-taking because it helps you to store information, share information. But when you handwrite notes, you can't type as fast. You could type pretty fast, right? But you can't write as fast as someone could speak. So when you're handwriting notes, it forces you to filter and saying, what's important here? And it forces you to really pay attention. But I want everyone to draw 3 circles like this. And they call it a Venn diagram. A Venn diagram. And so it's like Mickey Mouse, 2 ears that overlap and a face. Now here's the limitless model. Let's make this extremely practical. Make this a little masterclass, all right? I want you to think about an area of your life where you're not making progress. If limitless is about advancing beyond what you believe is possible, where do you feel stuck? In a relationship, in your physical health and well-being, in your learning, in your reading speed, in your memory, in your making money, in your impact, in your marketing? Where do you feel like you're in a box? Now, by definition, a box has 3 dimensions, right? It's 3-dimensional. And the 3 forces that keep you in that box are the same 3 forces that will liberate you out of that box. And those are the 3 circles. So let's go through them really quickly. There are 3 M's, 3 M's. I alliterate and use mnemonics and acronyms all the time to make things memorable. 3 simple M's. Now the last M I'm going to give you first, and those are your methods, your methods. Now the methods is important, right? In the book, we have 5 chapters on the methods. This book primarily was a book all 100% on methodology. And before I hit send it to my publisher in an email, I asked myself this question. I was like, will 100% of the people who read this book get the results they're hoping for? And my honest answer was no. And I was like, well, what's missing? Well, I know a lot of people know what to do, but they don't do what they know, because common sense is rarely common practice. And so how do you get people to actually do what they know? And this is a good question for those of you who have programs on Kajabi, or you're a coach in some area, you're a voice coach, you're a marketing coach, or you have expert knowledge, and you've taken your mess and you've made it your message, right? With like a lot of Kajabi publishers. And so how do you do it? You're missing 2 M's before that. And that's how I design all my programs. And that's why we have such high completion rate. Like this book is, I want this book, even as an example, is including our programs on Kajabi. They're like the one programs to help you learn them all. This book is the one book to help learn them all. For those of you who geek out over Lord of the Rings, it's kind of interesting. Lord of the Rings is the one ring to rule them all. This is the one book to help learn, read, and remember them all. There's literally a whole chapter, just like in our training, on how to read and remember all, like everything else. And so here are the first 2 M's. The first M is your mindset. Now your mindset, we hear this word a lot. Let me define it. It's a set of assumptions or attitudes you have about something. Your attitudes, assumptions about the world, your attitudes, assumptions about money, your attitudes, assumptions about business or entrepreneurship, your attitudes, assumptions about yourself. What would fall in this circle? Things like what you believe is possible. Also, but you could see me do a demonstration where I memorize all, and people on social media see me doing these things on like these demos, these mental feats. But you could believe it's possible. But the second belief, mindset is, I believe I'm capable of that. So you could believe it's possible for someone else to make money on Kajabi or somewhere else, but are you dressing the, do I believe it's possible for me? And then secondly, and these are objections people have. Number the third one would be, do I believe, do I deserve this? Also as well, if you want to get really raw and real, because here's the thing, you are a thermostat, you're not a thermometer. You're a thermostat, not a thermometer. Meaning a thermometer, the primary function of a thermometer is what? It reacts to the environment. That's all it does, it just reacts. And entrepreneurs, you don't want to just react, you react to the weather, you react to the economy, but you don't want to react to everything because you're always fighting fires, you're on the defense. A thermostat doesn't react to the environment. A thermostat gauges the environment intelligently, but what does it do? It sets a temperature, right? And then the environment reacts to it, right? And this, as entrepreneurs, we set a vision, we set a KPI, we set goals, right? We are on a mission, and then we make the environment react to us. And that's really the goal. So if your mindset is what you believe is possible, what you believe you're capable of, what you believe you deserve. So in all our programs and in the book, I help people dissolve the big lies that they have around learning. But people have lies around their body. They have a lot of lies around marketing and money. So you have to dissolve them. And I take people through a process called unlimiting, the active removal of limits in our life. Second M, you have mindsets first, methods are the last. The second M that will keep you in that box or lack thereof is lack of motivation. Motivation. Now, this is a big thing for entrepreneurs where the mindset is if you self-sabotage because maybe the things that are important to you, you're not doing those actions and you're not aligned and you're not integrated like that. So you'll take one step forward and 2 steps back because you don't think it's possible. Because I could teach someone the method for how to remember names, but their mindset is I'm too stupid or I'm not smart enough or I have a horrible memory. Your brain is like a supercomputer and your self-talk is a program it will run. So if you tell yourself you're not good at remembering names, you will not remember the name of the next person you meet because you program your supercomputer not to. I always tell people the number one business etiquette networking skill there is our ability to remember someone's name. Because how are you going to show somebody you're going to care for their future, their finances, their health, their family, anything that's important, anything you're offering them, selling them, if you don't care enough just to remember them, right? Maya Angelou, my favorite poet, she said, people will forget what you say, they'll forget what you did, but they'll always remember how you made them feel, right? And people do not buy logically, they buy what? They buy emotionally, because write this down, we are not logical, we are biological. Think about dopamine, oxytocin, serotonin, endorphin. We are this feeling soup, right? And so part of that comes to the motivation. And so here's the formula for sustained limitless motivation. P times E times S3. Everyone write this down. P times E times S3. If you're not, the evidence that you are motivated or that your kids are motivated or your team is motivated is not what you say, right? A lot of people say they're motivated, not do anything. A lot of people could feel motivated and not do anything. The evidence is that you consistently act. So why don't people act? And what's the key? 3 keys. P times E times S3. So let's do this thought experiment. Let's say in front of you is we want to make the ultimate motivated human being. All right. First, you need P, which stands for purpose. P is purpose. And I don't mean your life purpose, although I give people a strategy on how to discover and develop their life purpose, right? How you take your passion and turn it into a purpose where you can make it profitable. Passion is what lights you up, right? And purpose is how you use that to light other people up. So my passion is learning. And you would never think that growing up as a kid for me, because my teachers would have been surprised if I read a book, much less wrote a book, right? For years, I read a book a day. Like I was obsessed after I learned these strategies, right? Because leaders are readers. But if you take my passion is learning, my purpose is teaching other people how to learn, how to light them up by learning. and then you turn it into a profit, right? So you need the passion, you need the power, and you need a profitable model to be able to do well, right? Which includes your funnels and your opt-in pages, your follow-up sequences, your integrated product suite, and everything that's involved in that. And then you can make it profitable for yourself. But going back to purpose, what I mean by that are reasons, because reasons reap results. Reasons reap rewards. And so, but it has to be something you feel, because it can't be intellectual. Like, you intellectually know you should be reading every single day. Everyone watching this, leaders or readers, right? But if you're not doing it, you're not feeling the benefits or feeling the consequences of not following through. Like, if you're not working out, we know as your body moves, your brain grooves. When you exercise, you create brain-derived neurotropic factors. They call it in science BDNF, which is like fertilizer for your brain. But if you're not exercising on a regular basis, you know intellectually the benefits, that you're going to live longer. It's good for your focus. It's good for your memory. It's great as your body moves, your brain grooves. But if you're not feeling the benefits or the consequence of not, you're not going to be following through on a consistent basis. So P is feeling the purpose. Now my mind went, okay, if somebody just has purpose, will they always be motivated? And I said, no, they can be missing the E. What does the E stand for? Energy. Energy. A lot of people could go out there and have big enough purpose, know the reason why they should build this business and feel it, but maybe they haven't slept in 3 nights because they're so stressed out, or maybe they have a newborn child and keeps them up at night, or maybe they know they should be reading. It takes about 45 minutes of reading a day to read 1 book a week, the average person. Now, in our Kajabi programs on speed reading, we triple people's reading speed in 21 days, on average, triple, with better comprehension. That means that they can do it in 15 minutes a day, would normally take someone 45 minutes a day. But if they're not reading 45 minutes a day, let's say they're the average reader, maybe it's because they lack the energy. They can know the purpose, they're going to make more money, make less mistakes, save time, be able to provide a lifestyle for themselves and their family. But maybe they ate a big processed meal and they're in a food coma, they lack energy. So a big part of the book are the 10 keys, everything from food to sleep, how to optimize that, the exact strategies to optimize your energy. Because and here's the thing, you don't have energy, you don't have creativity, you don't even have focus, you do those things. And a big part of success, everyone, is taking nouns and turning them into verbs. We hypnotize ourselves to waking up saying, oh, I don't have creativity today or focus to make my videos. Those are not things you have. Those are things you do. And when you turn a noun into a verb, it gives you your agency back. It gives you your power back. Because a big part of what all our programs are about, this book is about transcending. Transcend. Think about the word transcend. You're ending the trance. This mass hypnosis through marketing or media that says we're not smart enough or good enough, or the trance we're giving ourselves by saying, oh, people come to me all the time at events like, Jim, I have a horrible memory. Jim, I'm not smart enough. And I say, stop. If you fight for your limitations, you get to keep them. If you fight for your limitations, they're yours, right? You get to keep them. So make sure you don't do that. And I would recommend, if I give you something that you feel like it's something usable, to write it down and take those notes. And I would actually challenge everybody right now to take a screenshot of this conversation wherever you're actually engaging with it, and tag Kajabi, tag myself at Jim Kwik, Kwik. And one of the fastest ways of learning something is to teach it to someone else. That's another brain hack. If you want to learn any subject or skill faster, think about somebody you wish was there learning with you, and learn with the intention of teaching that person. Like, for example, if you had to give a TED Talk next week on this conversation, would you have better focus? Would you take better notes? Would you make it so yours, and you would learn it better? Because write this down. When I teach something, I get to learn it twice. So I would challenge everyone to post this conversation, tag Kajabi, tag myself, and post one thing that you got out of this. And I'll actually repost some of my favorites just as a thank you. And I'll actually gift a copy of Limitless to 2 people just for showing up for themselves. But going back to motivation, the E is energy. So in there, I talk about the best brain foods, how to hack your sleep, how to lower stress, because chronic stress shrinks your brain. Chronic stress shrinks our brain. It puts you in fight, or freeze. And that's not a place where you can create a business or build a brand or create great marketing or great content when you're in that fight or flight or freezing. So energy, make sure you have that energy and you build that energy. Like Brendan Burchard's, like, he talks about, we generate energy, right? Can you generate more energy? And so let's say you have purpose and energy. Will that person always follow through and be motivated? I was like, no, they could be missing S3. What is S3? 3 S's, small, simple steps. Small, simple steps. A lot of times, and build this into your Kajabi program. This book is full of what I call quick starts, dozens and dozens of quick starts. Almost every page has a quick start, something you could do in 60 seconds. And here's how you find your small, simple step. Ask yourself this question. Questions are always the answer. Write that down. Questions are always the answer. And so in every chapter, I start with 3 questions and I end with 3 questions because it activates that part of your brain called the reticular activating system that hones your focus for those people who have ever read a page in a book, got to the end and forgot what they just read, right? But a simple question to get your small, simple step is this: what is the tiniest action I could take right now to give me progress towards this goal? What is the tiniest action I could take that will give me progress towards this goal where I can't fail? So an example, we know that exercise is good for your brain, but if you're not, I'm not just talking about Pilates 3 times a week or doing your soul cycle a few times a week or yoga, acro yoga. I'm talking about moving every day. They say sitting is the new smoking. I just did this interview on CNN talking about Zoom fatigue, right? And how to get over and train your people to get over Zoom fatigue, because it takes a lot of energy to, you're looking at screens, you're multitasking. Multitasking, by the way, is a myth. It's a complete lie. It wastes your time. It makes you make more errors, and it actually costs you energy. It actually burns more brain glucose to go from one task to another. It's actually called task switching, because the brain is not capable of doing 2 cognitive activities at once. So just focus on one thing. And so going back to small, simple step, let's say exercising. Maybe an hour a day is too much for someone who doesn't do that. A small, simple step is putting on your running shoes. Maybe reading 45 minutes a day or studying 45 minutes a day about your expertise, you're in the expert economy. Maybe that's too big. A small, simple step, opening up the book or reading the first line, right? Because little by little, a little becomes a lot. I believe consistency compounds. Little by little, a little becomes a whole lot. And you want to train your students to break things down into small, simple steps, because inch by inch, it's a cinch. Yard by yard, it's way too hard. That's the formula for limitless motivation. P times E times S3. You need purpose to feel it, energy to fuel it, and finally, small, simple steps. Now, the last M, you have mindset, motivation, and methods. Now, here's the big aha for all of you at designing programs with Kajabi. I'm going to give you 3 I's, and this is where the 3 M's overlap. So where mindset crosses over with motivation, you have the first I. It's called inspiration. Now, what's the difference? Motivation, you have motivational speakers. You have mindset speakers. You have mindset books. Great book by Dr. Carol Dweck called Mindset, must read. You have motivational speakers, motivational books like Brendon Burchard's Motivation Manifesto, right? An incredible book. Where they cross over, you have inspiration. Inspirational speakers, inspiring courses, inspiring movies. And what does an inspiring movie do? It changes your mindset of what's possible, and it gives you some energy and some motivation. But you're inspired, but you don't have the method, so you don't know what to do, right? And that's why it's not complete. You're still stuck in that box. So take this as a student, but also look at this framework as a teacher, as a Kajabi instructor, as an instructor. Think about what your student's mindset is and what their motivation is. Because if you just give them the methods or the mindset and just the motivation, they're not going to know methods. You need all 3. Where motivation, you have inspiration. Where mindset crosses over with this thing called methods, you believe your mindset, everything is possible, you're capable of it, you deserve it, and you know what to do, but you lack the motivation. That's ideation. Ideation just stays an idea. And entrepreneurs are really good at coming up with ideas and believing everything's possible, but you're still stuck in that box because you're not motivated to get out. And so you need motivation. Finally, the third I, where motivation and methods cross over, you have the third I, which is implementation. Implementation. You're motivated, you have purpose, you have energy, you know the methods for negotiating. And these are about upgrading these methods. You need new methods for marketing, new methods for social media, right? New methods for reading and remembering all the things, and focus, right? The things that were not taught in school. But you could still be stuck in that box because you'd be implementing, but you're only gonna be able to achieve what your mindset believes is possible, what you believe you're capable of, what you believe you deserve. Now, the final I, there's a fourth I. When you look directly in the middle, I'll do a share screen so everyone can see this real quick. The visual, their notes should look something like this. It should look something like this if you're watching this on video. You have mindset, motivation, methods, where all three M's intersect or all three I's intersect. Right in the middle, you have the fourth I, which is integration. Integration. Integration, like integer or integral, means whole. It means whole. And that's just who you are. And that's the limitless state. That's a state you want to perform in, that you want to build your brand in, that you want to teach in, you want your students to be in. Most importantly, you want to be in this. Now, this is a framework. A framework is like a lens, a mental model. So when you feel stuck in your life, or one of your coaching students is stuck, use this as a framework, a lens to take the judgment and the critic out. We talked about that earlier. And you can look at it through kind eyes and say, where's my bottleneck here? Where am I limited? Or where's my student limited that they're not making the transformation? Is it in their mindset? Do they not believe it's possible? Do they not believe they're capable of it? And that's from a marketing standpoint. So you could have more, social proof. You could address the thing that's keeping you or them held back. Do they not believe they deserve it? So we have strategies on how to unlimit all those things. Or maybe they have a limitless mindset, or you have that limitless mindset, or maybe your team, they're not motivated. Because we know over 80% of team employees, they say they're not engaged, right? So what is it? Are they not feeling the purpose? Or do they not have enough energy, right? Because they're not optimizing their lifestyle. Or are they confused? Because maybe this goal is too intimidating for them, this perfect body, or this $1 billion brand, or 1 million followers on Instagram, or reading 3 times faster, right? How do you break it down into small, simple steps that anyone could do? Or maybe it's their methodology. Maybe you're using old methods of negotiating, old methods of learning, old methods of investing, old methods, whatever you're teaching or whatever you're learning. So this becomes a framework not only for explaining where you are, or your team is, or your students are. It also becomes a role modeling framework where you can take the same lens and actually look at people who are geniuses in some area of life. They're successful building a big community on Kajabi, or be able to learn really fast, or be able to invest really well. Use this as a role modeling, because I believe genius leaves clues. And you can ask yourself, what's their mindset about? What do they believe is possible? What do they believe they're capable of? What do they believe they deserve? And we have a process for installing those beliefs and getting rid of the negative ones. Or maybe they don't feel purpose. What's their purpose? Or what are they doing for energy? How are they optimizing their sleep and dealing with their family peer pressures and other people's expectations, or a clean environment? Or what are the best supplements they're taking to energize themselves? Or what are the small, simple steps they're taking? Or what are the actual processes, the recipes, the strategies, the skill development, the methodology that they're using to do that outcome? So that's the limitless model. I know it's a handful, but
Wow.
the structure of the book, because I take people through the actual hero's journey, as I do with all my Kajabi programs. I actually take people. You're familiar, Allie, with Joseph Campbell's work, the hero's
Mm-hmm.
the hero's journey, where you take someone from the ordinary, bring them into the extraordinary. Like Dorothy goes from Kansas to Oz, right? Or Neo goes, from the Matrix into the real world, or Star Wars, or whatever. We take people through 4 phases of the hero's journey, where I become their Yoda, if you will. And they become Luke Skywalker, or they become the main character in it. And then they become, they face trials, they learn new skills, they get the mentor, and then they come back into the other world and they bring that treasured elixir that they learned. Because I believe the formula for everyone: you learn to earn to return. You learn to earn to return. And that's why we do what we do.
I love that last phrase, because I think that will resonate so much with our course creators and entrepreneurs on Kajabi. I mean, we hear that all day, every day, of the impact that they get to have on their students and their ecosystem because of the knowledge that they have. So, wow, Jim, my head is just spinning from all of the things you've said. I feel like I myself am soaking up the knowledge, so I can only imagine what those of you who are watching this are feeling. 2 things I want to touch on are, I love that your teachings not only bring personal growth for anyone who does them, but they also bring personalization and strategies that scale with your business, right? So it's like, not only can I grow for myself and learn how to how to have better memory and how to be more creative and how to create content that's going to work, but it's going to impact the people who go through my course or my membership. It's like a ripple effect. It not only goes inward, but it goes outward as well. And I absolutely love that about your model. I would encourage, you know, us to quote from you, a small, simple step that everyone can do who's watching this right now is go back, pause this video. You have the beauty of the pause button, and go back for the last 30 minutes on everything that Jim just walked through. And if you didn't take notes, draw that Venn diagram, draw what your, you know, what's boxing you in right now, and walk through each phase. Continue to pause the video. Because I promise you, you'll have breakthroughs. I mean, I myself was having breakthroughs as you were talking. So I so appreciate that. And I know the people who are watching this are gonna have breakthroughs as well.
Amazing, Allie. Yeah, and I appreciate this conversation. I appreciate the platform that you provide for creators out there who want to take the things that maybe they struggled with and they became strengths. You know, my two biggest challenges growing up were learning, and because I called myself the boy with a broken brain, I would also became painfully shy. So public speaking was a big challenge, but the universe has a sense of humor, because that's all I do. I public speak on this thing called learning.
And you're good at it. You're great at it.
But your adversity could become an advantage. And I feel like that everyone who's watching, who's on the fence about moving forward, the future belongs to the creatives. You know, where all the jobs are being automated, artificial intelligence, what makes us humans, our ability to create, our ability to imagine, our ability to come together. So you use this model not only as a learning tool for yourself, use this model and everything that we teach to teach other people using this framework to make your content more memorable. When you understand focus and concentration, you learn tricks in what I teach to help people to maintain their concentration, their level of focus, so they could finish. When you learn in here, you know, in something like Limitless, how to unravel their limiting thoughts, use that while you teach. Because if you don't address that, if people think like they're not worth making that kind of money, then they're not going to do the method to build that business. If they don't feel like it's possible for them to lose that weight, or to have that, find that person they're supposed to be with, or have that fulfilling relationship, they're not going to do the methods that you're teaching them unless you address mindset and also motivation.
Yeah, that's so good. We absolutely love that your programs are on Kajabi, that you're an OG Kajabi user and Kajabi hero. So thank you so much for taking the time to talk through that. And I would love to leave anyone who's watching this with a place that they can connect with you, and also where they can purchase your book Limitless, which again was an instant New York Times bestseller, and that you're donating 100% of the proceeds. So please tell us where we can go support that.
All our Kajabi programs are available at kwiklearning.com. You just have to spell it right. My last name really is Kwik, K-W-I-K. I didn't change it to do what I do. My father's name, my grandfather's name. Yeah, I was born, like, I had to be a runner back in school, which is a lot of pressure when it says Kwik right on your shirt, and have to be careful getting speeding tickets, because you can't talk your way out of that speeding ticket when your driver's license says Kwik right on it. But at learning.com, you could see all our 5 flagship Kajabi programs. On what I believe are the 5 superpowers, modern day superpowers: focus, memory, study skills, speed reading, and critical thinking, problem solving, decision making skills. So those are our 5 Kajabi programs. You can see them all there. Student success programs for those of you who have students in your life or are a student of life. So every age and stage, it's great. We have students in all 195 countries on Kajabi. Number 2, the book, limitlessbook.com. We're offering some special bonuses there, as you mentioned. And so if you want to get the book, we have all the links. I know people watching this all around the world, so we put all the international links there also as well, plus links to the bonuses at limitlessbook.com. And again, on social media, if you want to take a screenshot, tag Kajabi and tag at Jim Kwik, K-W-I-K. I'll repost some of my favorites, gift the book out. And I want to thank all of our podcast listeners, tens of millions of downloads, 15-minute podcasts. There's no advertising on it either. If people want to listen to it, just search Jim Kwik in your podcast app, you know, and Spotify, Pandora, YouTube, which is youtube.com/Jim Kwik. Jim Kwik on everything. And so
Love it.
For everybody is this: your life is like an egg, that if an egg is broken by an outside force, life ends. But if it's broken by an inside force, life begins. And great things begin on the inside, and you have genius inside of you. If you're watching this, you have greatness inside of you. Otherwise, you would never be watching something like this. That here's my big advice. Don't downgrade. I see so many clients and people making mistakes doing this. Do not downgrade your dreams to meet this current situation. Instead, upgrade your mindset, your motivation, and the methods you're using to meet your destiny.
Yeah, I love that. Thank you so much, Jim. And again, you guys, please, if you were impacted by this message at all and learned something from Jim, go check out his book, limitlessbook.com. Let's support a fellow Kajabi hero and user. And Jim, you're just obviously doing such amazing things in the industry. So thank you for taking time to talk with our community today. We really appreciate it.
Thank you all to the heroes that are watching this right now, in process right now, because the world needs you now more than ever. So thank you for the capes that everyone wears.